Hello, and thank you for joining me on this video. It's always a pleasure to have you to join us on one of our videos, and I'm really grateful for your time. In the past few videos that I have made on this channel, I have been looking at how to develop self-confidence. Firstly, how critically important confidence or self-confidence is to the attainment of one's life's goals, and how invariably every successful person has that virtue or that character, or plenty of it, should I say, of self-confidence. Today, I want to continue this by talking about how to develop your confidence through skills and knowledge. So how developing your skills and your knowledge can help you to develop your self-confidence. Now, to start with, let us try to put this in confidence, into context. I beg your pardon. So, self-confidence or confidence generally can be defined as an individual's trust in his or her own abilities, capacities, and judgments, or belief that he or she can successfully face day-to-day challenges and demands. So the key things here are one's abilities, capacities, and judgments. So people who do not have confidence or haven't developed their self-confidence lack trust in their judgments. So they will hesitate for a while before sometimes they make even the simplest of decisions. And they may want to keep checking with other people, trying to seek validation as to whether or not they are on the right path, even when obviously they are. So that can be a very strong indication of the lack of confidence. There are two very important factors which determine the level of confidence that one has. And the first one is the skills. Your skills and competencies provide a good indication, or it's a good baseline to determine how confident you are in making your life decisions, and then the efforts that you put into doing things. And the second one is the level of knowledge, the level of education and awareness, the amount of information that you have. So in everything you do, the skills set that you've got and the knowledge or the information, the awareness that you've got about that thing, that activity, will be good indicators of how successful or not that you will be. Now, to start with, let's look at skills and the role that that plays in developing your confidence, and then how it affects ultimately your outcomes. The first point to notice that all skills are learnable. So anything that you are not good at, you can become good at it if you learn. Somebody says that all the best people in whatever area that you look at, a few years ago or several years ago probably, were not even in that field. I've seen people who have changed from being footballers to become athletes, and they become world-leading athletes in that sense. So several years ago, they were just playing football, then they switched to become athletes, and then by virtue of the skills, the inherent skills, maybe they were just, they were footballers, but they were fast. They could run fast. And that skill was able to take them into another discipline, which they were not until now in, and they were able to excel. Let's take a very simple example like driving. I believe that there's nobody ever who grew up with a skill, or was born with a skill of driving. Everybody invariably learns and is taught how to drive. If you are taught by somebody who knows it well, then you become a good driver. If you are taught by somebody who didn't learn it properly or was taught poorly, then you will pick those traits and then grow with it. When everybody starts learning to drive, it can be a bit nervous, so you feel tensed, you feel under pressure, you feel scared. It can be quite scary getting onto the streets the first time. I used to wonder when I was learning how to, I was wondering, isn't it a bit reckless, for driving instructors to take people the first time they drive on the roads? So they might give you obviously, the ideal thing is you would have learned the theory, pass your exam, so you would have some understanding, but they will just give you the basics, jump on the road, and then you learn whilst you do it. So you make mistakes, but you learn through that. But the point I make is that when you start learning, you are not gifted. But the time comes when you are very skilled, when you can almost multitask. There will be people who they shouldn't do this, but people who can, for example, make a phone call. Some people can even send a text. Bad and risky, dangerous as it is. But this is how confident they get because of the skills that they develop. It has been said that generally it takes between 21 and 66 days for any practice to become a habit. So anything, even if you don't know how to do it, it is generally believed that if you consistently practice doing it, then between the space of 21 days and 66 days, you most likely, if you are persistent, if you are consistent, then you could end up becoming qualified or perfect if there is perfection in that sense to be attained. Becoming an expert is a possibility if you are prepared to put in the effort. If you like football, then probably you may have heard this debate before, that in their time between Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, who is the better of the two players? This has always been a difficult question to answer and a divided opinion. You could look at it from the viewpoint of which of them is naturally gifted. And that probably might be an easier one to resolve than to say who is the better of the two. I once heard from a player who had played with Messi before, who said that he never, in the time they played together, saw Messi go to the gym. That before important matches, he would be receiving a massage. I'm not judging whatever his training regime is, because like it or not, he is a great player and probably one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time. But that would be leading us to the question that I know, like I said, and I admit that it divides opinion generally. But on the other hand, Cristiano Ronaldo probably does not have that natural gifts and talents and the skill set that that Messi has. But he, by dint of hard work, a rigorous routine and regiment of training, to the point where at nearly 40 years, he is still banging in goals. At least at the point and at the time of recording this video, he was still scoring. So, as I said, even if we cannot agree as to who is the greatest, we can see what the role that the different exercise regimes and the impact that it has on their outcomes. Another player that I can draw into this was David Beckham in his time. And he was an expert at taking free kicks, corner kicks, and things like that. And I heard before that after training, when all the players left, similar to Cristiano Ronaldo, that he will stay behind and put in some hours of additional practice at practicing his kicks. And it came to a point in his playing days that when there was a free kick, it was almost like it was a penalty, because in many cases he would shoot and score. And that was because of practice. So anything that you practice, you put time and effort into, you can increase your skill and your effectiveness in. Now, Anders Ericsson has proved scientifically that generally it takes 10,000 hours on average to practice, 10,000 hours of practice to become an expert in any field. So whatever it is, whether it is the academic field, whether it is in a sporting discipline, whatever, if you put in 10,000 hours according to Ericsson, you will at the end of it invariably become an expert. So there are people, for example, who study to the Ph.D. level, and those people will start probably from nothing, but they put in a certain number of hours of study. And according to Ericsson, in any field, if you put in the equivalent of 10,000 hours, you would become an expert. And we're talking here about consistency, and that is key, because small incremental additions to something is better than irregular but giant big efforts. So the point here is that consistently practicing something over a long time will help you to increase your skill, which would also enhance and increase your confidence. The second thing that we're talking about as having the capacity to increase your self-confidence is knowledge. Knowledge generally is the amount of information that you have about something. I talked about driving. One way to increase your confidence when you start learning how to drive is to have a lot of knowledge about driving, which you can, if you've done your theory, reading and studies, well, you will get that from. So knowledge would help you to increase your skills level, and that's your performance level, which would give you more confidence. And it is important, if you want to excel in anything, that you aggressively acquire knowledge in relation to that activity. It has been said, there is an African proverb that says that knowledge is like a garden. If you don't till or cultivate it, you cannot harvest it. And there's one man who says that knowledge is like fuel in the tank of a car. Now, how far in life you can go depends or is determined by how much knowledge you've got in your tank. This means that we need to work diligently and hard at acquiring relevant knowledge in relation to whatever we want to do. I talked about how through practice and repetition, one can become an expert in literally any skill area. According to Brian Tracy, for example, he gives the example of reading 1 hour a day. And he says that if you do this consistently, in 7 years, you can be a global expert in whatever area you've been spending your time reading about. And that is quite profound. Napoleon Hill puts it very well when he says it this way, that self-confidence results first from exact knowledge And second, the ability to impart that knowledge. So acquiring knowledge in relation to anything would improve your self-confidence. And going back once again to Brian Tracy, who says again that you should be a lifelong student. The more you learn, the more you earn, and the more self-confidence you will have. So these sum up how important learning and developing our skills are to the development of our self-confidence and our outcomes. In conclusion, just by way of recap, we've said and established the link between skills, knowledge, and our confidence. How confident you are can be affected by these two skills, by your skills and then by the knowledge that you have. More importantly, having the right skills and knowledge will give us the confidence to do things that until now we have been hesitant, we've been scared to, like business ventures, new initiatives, things that you probably don't think can happen. And I end with the words of Julius Caesar, who captures this very well when he said that without training, they lacked knowledge, and without knowledge, they lacked confidence. Without confidence, they lacked victory. That is about all that we've got time for. Thank you very much for your time and for watching this. I hope you found it useful. And if you did, I will strongly encourage that you help this channel by subscribing to the channel, and also to do your friends a favor, share the link to this video with them, and keep coming back for more. Thank you very much. All the very best, and I'll see you in the next video.